Shalom, my friends, and welcome to weekly Parsha with Yehuda Yisrael. This week's Parsha is Parshat Eikev. So let's get right into it. And it will be because you will heed these ordinances and keep them and perform that the Lord your God will keep for you the covenants and the kindness that he swore to your forefathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you, and he will bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your soil, your grain, your wine, your oil, the offspring of your cattle, and the choice of your flocks, the land which he swore to your forefathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all peoples. There will be no sterile male or barren female among you or among your livestock. The Lord will remove from you all is illness and all of the evil diseases of Egypt, which you knew. He will not set upon you, but he will lay upon all your enemies. This is if you follow the Torah, of course. And you shall consume all the peoples which the Lord your God gives you, and you shall not spare them. You shall not worship their gods, for that will be a snare for you. Will you say to yourself, these nations are more numerous than I? How will I be able to drive them out? So this is assurance that Israel will be able to be successful against our enemies. You shall not fear them. You shall surely remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt. The great trials that you saw, that your eyes saw, the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand and outstretched arm which the Lord your God brought you out, so will the Lord your God do to all peoples you fear. And also the Hatzirah, the Lord your God will incite against them until the survivors and those who hide from you will perish. Interesting. Okay. And you shall not be terrified of them, for the Lord your God, who is in your midst, is a great and awesome God. And the Lord your God will drive out those nations from before you little by little, and you will not be able to destroy them quickly, lest the beasts of the field outnumber you. But the Lord your God will deliver them to you. He will confound them with great confusion until they are destroyed. He will deliver their kings into your hand, and you will destroy their name from beneath the heavens. No man will be able to stand up before you until you have destroyed them. The graven images of their gods will burn with fire, and you shall not covet the silver and gold that is upon them, and take it for yourself, lest you be ensnared by it, for it is an abomination to the Lord your God. Interesting. Nor should you bring an abomination into your house, lest you are to be destroyed by it, but you shall utterly detest it, and you shall utterly abhor it, for it will be destroyed. It is to be destroyed. Interesting. So that's probably a way to keep us from worshiping idols. Every commandment that I command you this day, you shall keep to do, and that you may live and multiply and come to possess the land that the Lord swore to your forefathers. And you shall remember the entire way in which the Lord your God led you these 40 years in the desert in order to afflict you, to test you, to know what is in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. And he afflicted you and let you go hungry, and then fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your forefathers know, so that he would make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but rather by whatever comes forth from the mouth of the Lord does man live. Your clothing did not wear out upon you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. So showing the miracles. This is interesting. The clouds of glory would rub the Israelites' clothes and clean them so they looked like freshly laundered clothes, and also their children, as they grew, their clothes would grow along with them, like a snail shell, which grows along with it. Interesting. That's the miracle. That I guess that's more details as to how that worked. Neat. And it says, neither did your feet swell for those who walk barefoot, that their feet swell. So that was another miracle. Neat. You shall know in your heart that just as a man chastises his son, so does the Lord your God chastise you. And you shall keep the commandments of your Lord your God, to go in his ways and to fear him. For the Lord your God is bringing you to a good land, a land with brooks of water, fountains and depths that emerge in valleys and mountains, a land of wheat and barley, vines and figs and pomegranates, a land of oil-producing olives and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity. You will lack nothing in it, in a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose mountains you will hew copper. And you will eat, and you will be sated, and you will bless the Lord your God, for the good land he has given you. Ve'ochata v'savata u'barachta et Hashem Elokecha ha'aretz ha'tova asher natan lach. If you have ever said the Birkat Hamazon, this is the source for where that comes from. You'll eat and be sated, and you shall bless the Lord your God. So this is the Torah source, really, for why we say a bracha to Hashem after we eat bread in this way, right? So, if you know, you know. If you don't, well, you're probably not a religious Jew. So, moving on. So, this is Devarim chapter 8, the second Aliyah. Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments, his ordinances, his statutes, which I command you this day, lest you eat and be sated and build good houses and dwell therein. And your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and gold increase, and all that you have increases. And your heart grows haughty, and you forget the Lord your God, who has brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of bondage, who led you through that great and awesome desert in which were snakes, vipers, scorpions, and drought, where there was no water, who brought water for you out of a solid rock, for better or for worse, right? Who fed you manna in the desert, which your forefathers did not know, in order to afflict you, in order to test you, to benefit you in your end. It was a test for your benefit, right? And you will say to yourself, my strength and the might of my hand that has accumulated this wealth for me. But you must remember the Lord your God, for it is he that gives you strength to make wealth, in order to establish his covenant which he swore to your forefathers, as it is this day. And it will be, if you forget the Lord your God and follow other gods and worship them and prostrate yourself before them, I bear witness against you this day that you will surely perish. As the nations that the Lord destroys before you, so will you perish, since you did not obey the Lord your God. Chapter 9, Hear, O Israel, today you are crossing the Jordan to come in to possess nations greater and stronger than you, great cities fortified up to the heavens, a great and tall people, the children of the Anakim, who you know and of whom you have heard and said, who can stand against the children of Anak? It looks like Anakin, Anakim. You shall know this day that it is the Lord your God who passes over before you as a consuming fire. He will destroy them, and he will subdue them before you. And you shall drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord spoke to you, even though they're big and giant. Do not say to yourself, when the Lord your God has repelled them from before you, saying, because of my righteousness the Lord has brought me to possess this land, and that because of the wickedness of these nations the Lord drives them out before you. Not because of your righteousness or because of the honesty of your heart do you come to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of these nations the Lord your God drives them out before you, in order to establish the matter that the Lord swore to your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So a lot of Christians will take this out of context and say, oh, it's not because of your righteousness. Yes, it's because of the covenant that God swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but Christians, of course, like to say it has something to do with Jesus. Abraham, Isaac, and Jesus. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did not believe in Jesus. That's a fact. No matter how you want to spin it, right? They never believed in Jesus. So Jesus is another God who Israel has not known. Get ready for Deuteronomy 13, everyone. You know where that's going. You shall know that, not because of your righteousness, the Lord your God gives you this good land to possess it, for you are stiff-necked people. Remember, do not forget how you angered the Lord your God in the desert from the day you went out of the land of Egypt until you came to this place. You have been rebelling against the Lord. At Horeb you angered God, and the Lord was incensed with you to destroy you. When I ascended the mountain to receive the stone tablets and the tablets of the covenant which the Lord made with you, I remained in the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water. The Lord gave me 2 stone tablets inscribed by the finger of God, and on them was inscribed according to all the words that the Lord spoke with you on the mountain from the midst of the fire on the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that the Lord gave me 2 stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant. And the Lord said to me, Arise, descend quickly from here, for your people whom you have brought out of Egypt have become corrupt. They have quickly deviated from the way which I commanded them, and they have made for themselves a molten image. The Lord spoke to me further, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Leave me alone, and I will destroy them and obliterate their name from above, or from beneath the heavens, and I will make you into a mightier nation and more numerous than they. So this was the prophecy that God gave, right? That, he was going to destroy the nation of Israel, and make Moses a new nation. As we discussed in a previous Parsha when this was discussed, Moses, if Christians claim, well, how is this prophecy, fulfilled? Every single thing that God says has to, exactly come true, right? Or that a prophet says. But here we see that Moses tapped into God's attribute of mercy, right? That doesn't mean that God is contradicting himself. It simply means that Moses is holding God to a standard that God already set. That if you tap into God's attribute of mercy, then you can reverse an evil decree against, a nation of people, such as Israel in this case. So Moses explains that and says, So I turned and came down from the mountain, and the mountain was burning with fire, and the 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I saw, and behold, you had sinned against the Lord your God, and you made yourselves a molten calf, and you had deviated quickly from the way which the Lord had commanded you. So I grasped the tablets, cast them out of my 2 hands, and shattered them before your eyes. And they fell down before the Lord as before 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water, because all of your sins you had committed by doing evil in the eyes of the Lord to anger him. So they say this was associated with Av and Tammuz, right? I think maybe it was the fast of Tammuz when the tablets were broken. I think, could be wrong. But anyway, I was frightened for the wrath of the fury that the Lord was angry to destroy you. And the Lord hearkened to me also at that time, right? So he hearkened to Moses's appeal to the attribute of mercy, which was revealed to him. The Yud Gimel Midot, the 13 attributes, were revealed to Moses. That's, when we discussed before, about like Moses having the ability to experience Timunat Hashem. Well, when you see the quote unquote, image that was shown to Moses, you don't see any physical description of it. Really, the revelation that you got when Moses was in the cleft of the rock was the Yod Gimel Midot, the 13 attributes of Hashem. That is the revelation of what it means to be close, and that's what Moshe was able to portray to us, and that's why we use that, especially on, Yom HaKippurim during like the high holidays, because that is what thwarts the evil decree against us, the attribute of mercy. So that's why it's so important to us. And with Aaron, the Lord was furious to destroy him, so I prayed also for Aaron at that time. No Jesus blood required, right? And I took your sin, the calf, which you made, and I burned it in the fire, crushed it, grinding it well until it was fine dust, and cast it in the brook that descends from the mountain. And at Tava and Masa, and at Kibroth and Hatava, you provoked the Lord to anger. And when the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and possess the land I have given you, you defiled the word of the Lord your God. You did not believe him, nor did you obey him. You have been rebelling against the Lord since the day I have become acquainted with you. So I fell before the Lord 40 days and 40 nights I had fallen down because the Lord had said to destroy you. And I prayed to the Lord, saying, O Lord God, do not destroy your people and your inheritance, which you have redeemed in your greatness, which you have brought out of Egypt with mighty hand. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do not turn the stubbornness of this people to their wickedness and to their sin, right? So this is Moses pleading on behalf of Israel, right? It's not a false prophecy that God said he was going to destroy us if it's very clear that God is, you're able to reverse evil decrees against Israel using the Yud Gimel Midot, especially the attribute of mercy. Lest the people of the land which you brought us out will say, because the Lord's inability to bring them to the land which he spoke to them, and because of his hatred toward them, he has brought them out to slay them in the desert. But they're a people, and they're your people and your inheritance, which you brought out with your strength and with your outstretched arm, right? So that's also, part of the covenant to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as well, right? And at that time the Lord said to me, hew for yourselves 2 stone tablets, like the first ones, and come up to me unto the mountain, and make yourself a wooden ark. And I shall inscribe 2 tablets, the words that were upon the first tablets, which is shattered, and you shall place them into the ark. So I made an ark of acacia wood, and I hewn 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I ascended the mountain with 2 tablets in my hand. And he inscribed on the tablets, like the first writing, the 10 commandments, which the Lord had spoken to you on the mountain from the midst of the fire on the day of the assembly. And the Lord gave them to me. And I turned and I came down from the mountain and placed the tablets in the ark which I had made, and they were there, as the Lord commanded me. The children of Israel journeyed from the wells of Bnei Yakan and Moserah. There Aaron died, and he was buried, and Eleazar the son served as Cohen in his stead. And from there they journeyed to Gudgodah, and from Gudgodah to Yatavah, a land with streams of water. At that time the Lord separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord to serve him, and to bless in his name to this day. Therefore Levi has no portion of inheritance with his brothers. The Lord is his inheritance, as the Lord your God spoke to him. And I remained on the mountain, like the first 40 days and 40 nights. And the Lord hearkened to me also at that time. The Lord did not wish to destroy you. Once again, tapping into that attribute of mercy, no Jesus blood required. And the Lord said to me, arise and go to lead the travels before the Lord, so that they may come to possess the land I promised their forefathers to give them. So, Devarim chapter 10. And now, O Israel, what does the Lord your God ask of you? Only to fear the Lord your God, and to walk in his ways, and to love him, and to worship the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day for good. Behold, the Lord your God belong the heavens and the heavens of the heavens, the earth and all that is on it. Only your forefathers the Lord desired to love them, and he chose their seed after them, you, out of all peoples, as it is this day. You shall circumcise the foreskin of your heart, therefore, and be no more stiff-necked. You're right. So the Lord your God is God of gods and the Lord of lords, the mighty and awesome God, who will show no favor, nor will he take a bribe. Right, so going back to this verse about, circumcising your heart, the covenant of the heart was a part of the Mosaic covenant, and we'll see in later chapters in Deuteronomy and Deuteronomy 30 specifically that this isn't like a new thing, right? We discussed earlier in the Shema, I think I discussed that, even during, in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and in last week's Parsha, right? In V'et Chanan, like the Via Hafta, the covenant of the Mosaic covenant is not new And that's it's not new in the new covenant of Jeremiah that it would be a covenant of the heart, right? That's already encompassed here. So that's important to say. The difference is that we won't have to teach each other to know the Lord. For all of us will know, from the least of us to the greatest of us. So Christians, bragging about having a covenant of the heart because of Jesus dying on a cross for them, sorry, but you're not adding anything that Jews don't already have. In fact, you're just talking about something that has nothing to do with Torah. Once again, no Jesus blood required. This is Torah. No Jesus blood. For the Lord your God is the God of gods and the Lord of lords and the mighty and awesome God, who will show no favor. He will take no bribe. He executes the judgment of the orphan and the widow. He loves the stranger to give him bread and clothing. You shall love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall fear the Lord your God, worship him, and cleave to him, and swear by his name. He is your praise, and he is your God, who did these great and awesome things for you, which your eyes have seen. With 70 souls your forefathers descended to Egypt, and now the Lord your God has made you as the stars of heaven in abundance. Deuteronomy chapter 11. Therefore, the Lord your God, just a second. Sorry. This is, I'm at work. Therefore, you shall love the Lord your God, keep his charges, his statutes, and his ordinances, and his commandments all the days. And you shall know this day, I speak not with your children, who did not know and who did not see the chastisement of the Lord your God, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his outstretched arm, his signs, his deeds, which he performed in the midst of Egypt to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and to his entire land, and what he did to the army of Egypt and its steeds and to its chariots, and he caused the water of the Red Sea to undulate them when he pursued you, and the Lord destroyed them to this day. And he did for you in the desert until you arrived at this place, what he did to Dathan and Abiram, to Eliab the son of Reuben, and that the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, and their households and their tents and all their possessions at their feet in the midst of Israel. So this is the Korach rebellion, right? We all know what happened there. So, but your eyes which have seen all the great work of the Lord which he did, therefore keep all the commandments that I command you this day, in order that you may be strong and come to possess the land which you are crossing to possess it, in order that you may prolong your days on the land that the Lord swore to your forefathers to give them and to their seed, a land filling with milk and honey. For the land which you are coming to possess is not like the land of Egypt, out of which you came, which you sowed your seed, in which you watered by foot like a vegetable garden. But the land which you pass to possess is a land of mountains and valleys, and absorbs water from the rains of heaven. A land the Lord your God looks after. The eyes of the Lord your God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And it will be, if you hearken to my commandments. Oh, this is part of the Shema. That I command you this day to love the Lord your God, and to serve him with all your heart and all your soul. This is part of the second paragraph of the Shema. I will give the rain of your land in its time, the early rain and the latter rain, and you will gather in your grain and your wine and your oil. And I will give the grass in your field for your livestock, and you will eat and be sated. Oh, there it is again. Beware lest your heart be misled, and you turn away and worship strange God and prostrate yourselves before them. And the wrath of the Lord will be kindled against you, and he will close off the heavens, and there will be no rain, and the ground will not give its produce, and you will perish quickly from upon the good land that the Lord gives you. And you shall set these words of mine upon your heart and upon your soul, and bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be ornaments between your eyes. This is referring to, of course, tefillin, that we use, or phylacteries. Even it's even referenced in the New Testament, where it says like they wear their phylacteries large and their tassels long, referring to tzitzit, right? So this isn't something that was made up by rabbis. It was always a thing. And you shall teach them to your sons and speak them when you are in your house and when you walk on your way and when you lie down and when you rise. So this is why the Mosaic covenant is still a covenant of the heart. It's just about teaching instead of God circumcising our hearts for us. That's the difference. And that's why all of us will know him, the Lord, from the least of us to the greatest of us. But clearly that did not happen with Jesus. That's why we don't accept his death on the cross as initiating the new covenant or any of that nonsense that the New Testament says. And you shall inscribe them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Mezuzot, right? That's what we do. In order that your days may increase and the days of your children on the land which the Lord swore to your forefathers to give them as the days of heaven above the earth. And here we are, the final aliyah. For if you keep these commandments, which I command you to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways and to cleave to him, then the Lord will drive out all these nations from before you, and you will possess nations greater and stronger than you. Every place which the soles of your feet will tread will be yours, from the river, from the desert of Lebanon, from the river to the Euphrates River, until the western sea be your boundary. Oh, I guess this is the infamous, relating to the political situation today, right? No man will stand up before you. The Lord your God will cast the fear of you and the dread of you on all the land upon which you tread, as he spoke to you. Right. So Palestinians have reappropriated this statement, right, to try and say, like, that they're going to take away Israel from us, even though Israel is the only Jewish nation in the entirety of the world. So I guess that's, threatening to Palestinians and Muslims. For some reason, they get Saudi Arabia all to themselves, but a little state of Israel, even though there's 22 Muslim country or whatever, 50 whatever Muslim countries in the world, but Jews, no, you don't get your holy land of Israel. You can't go to Jerusalem. You have to share it perpetually, and Mecca for Muslims gets to be completely restricted to only Muslims. Even in the times of the Messiah, right, Jerusalem is going to be a house of prayer for all nations. So who's the apartheid religion? Mecca, where only Muslims can go to, and Medina, where only Muslims can go to in Saudi Arabia? Or in the times of the Messiah, even the Holy Temple will be a house of prayer for all peoples. And they'll even celebrate Sukkot, according to Zechariah 14. Anyway, had to add that in there, but I hope this video has been a blessing to you all. Shalom Aleichem.